We're in Turkmenistan, 2,000 miles and half a world away from Moscow, with Iran and Afghanistan just over the border. It's a place with its own distinct culture. For 1,000 years, the people here have followed the Prophet Muhammad. They're Muslims. But centuries earlier, what prophet followed them? The Turkmenistan desert is revealing the answer. Recently uncovered from its sands are the remains of ancient and immense buildings. This one was excavated in 1981. This one with its enormous fortress-like walls 2 years later. And this, which promises to be the largest yet, is just now being excavated. Even in September, it's still over 100 degrees out here, so the archaeology students dress accordingly. To do work like this in the middle of the desert, you've got to be a bit of a fanatic. Just like the discoverer of these sites, archaeology professor Vίκτωρ Σαριγιανίδης. He's here to explore the unknown.
Maybe it is palace. I don't know exactly. That's way because we only found, we're beginning our excavation. We don't know exactly what is this. It's interesting.
Sarianidi is interested in results. So in some areas, he's using machines to shift large amounts of dirt. It's a controversial method. Maybe he'll destroy something unwittingly. But with small crews and tight budgets, it's the only way to work, he responds. Once his crews get down to these walls, though, they're very careful, and they certainly seem to know just where to dig. Oleg Rosenthal is their top wall finder. Since mud bricks aren't much different from desert sand, it's not so simple.
There has to be a wall here someplace, but where we don't know.
Oleg looks for clues in the color and texture of the desert floor.
Here, look, an edge just appeared. It's easy to see it. One side is dark and the other side is much lighter.
Well, maybe it's easy for him. In fact, he's so sure of his judgment that he starts digging out the sand inside the walls. He uses texture as his guide, picking out soft dirt, leaving harder material in place. 2 days later, he's traced out the walls and confirmed his judgment with something you often find against the wall of a room.
In the corner which we've excavated, there is a vessel. It's a big one, a common type, probably used to store liquids and grains. So far, we've only found 2 walls, but there will be 4. In fact, I think I'm uncovering one right now.
3-foot-high walls is all that's left of the buildings now, after 3,500 years of erosion by the desert. But imagine what this building used to look like. A massive structure, perfectly laid out, all with an elegant symmetry. Sarianidi calls it a fortress, but that's just guesswork. What's certain is the people who built it were highly civilized.
Building this entire fortress was a giant undertaking. It shows that the people who lived here, the architects, already knew mathematics, already knew astronomy, already knew the fundamentals of geometry.
In fact, Sarianidi has discovered nothing less than a new civilization. His team is busy piecing together what these people, he calls them Bactrians, were like. Flourishing at the same time as the pharaohs of Egypt, they are now taking their place as the world's 5th Bronze Age civilization. Long buried in graves and erosion-filled rooms, ancient Bactria is slowly emerging. Elegant drinking vessels, oddly styled figures, a god maybe? Animals of the desert, a centipede, a scorpion, cylindrical seals showing some kind of ritual, and a distinctive kind of pot decorated with animal figures. This one was reconstructed from pieces unearthed in the second building Sarianidi excavated, which he believes was a temple. In spite of his bulldozing image, Sarianidi is actually a careful investigator. It's his usual practice to take soil samples in and around pottery, and the shattered pieces of the animal figure pot were no exception. The samples went for chemical analysis, and the results were startling. They contained unmistakable traces of two local plants, which apparently had been mashed by grinding stones, also found here at this site.
During
the excavation of the central part of the temple, we found these grinding stones. And as you can see, they're worn flat from constant use. On the stones, we found traces of ephedra and poppy.
Poppy produces opium, and ephedra contains a powerful hallucinogen. Mix either of these plants with water, and you've got a drink which packs quite a punch. All that's left is to strain out the stalks, using a piece of goat skin and a 4,000-year-old filter cone, also found in the ruins. Actually, it's not such a surprise to find the Bactrians used drugs. Many ancient civilizations incorporated them into their rituals as a way to feel closer to the gods. But there was more to the ritual life of Bactrians, as revealed by these pits, which had clear signs of soot on their walls. Sarianidi is convinced these pits were used to illuminate altar platforms, now eroded, but once situated immediately behind the pits.
It's likely that on these two platforms sat the images of gods. And in their honor, a fire was burning here. What does this mean? Of course, fire plays an important role in many religions of the world. But here we have the rituals of fire and ephedra drinking together. It's the first time known to science that these two rituals occurred simultaneously.
For Sarianidi, it's a very exciting discovery, because fire and a drink from ephedra are both used by one of today's religions. They're followers of the prophet Zoroaster. Most are in India, but they're worldwide. The strange thing is, Zoroaster was born 1,000 years after the rivers feeding ancient Bactria dried up and the civilization crumbled. So Zoroastrians must have taken over the rituals of a pre-existing religion, one that had been Bactrian. Archaeologists, of course, have their own rituals which often show up worldwide. Complaining about archaeology is one of them. But in truth, archaeology is a passion for these people, as it has to be. After all, what else is going to send them back into the desert with pick and shovel tomorrow at dawn? But why the passion? It's because the rewards are unique.
We've discovered an entire new country. Its culture, its civilization, its uniqueness must have had a strong effect on its neighbors. It's a new page in ancient history.